Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of our autism awareness podcast called Spectrum Stories. I'm your host, and my name is Aarav Sharma. I'm an autism advocate and founder of AllyHQ.ai, which is an interactive AI communication platform for families of special needs children. In our podcast, we invite change makers from the autism community who are making significant positive impacts in the lives of special needs children through their work. Today, we have with us our very special guest and a significant influencer, Miss Shelley Patterson. Miss Patterson is an adaptive cycling advocate and the owner of Bikes for Everybody, the home of the Buddy Bike. The Buddy Bike is an alternative tandem bicycle with rear seat steering for riders with special needs, providing adaptive and therapeutic cycling for riders with autism, Down syndrome, sight impairment, and varied abilities that would prevent them from riding a bike safely on their own. Since 2005, Ms. Patterson has sold over 1,200 Buddy Bikes, bringing joy and mobility to riders around the world. So without any further delay, let's welcome in Ms. Shelley Patterson. Ms. Patterson, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and consider my request.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to tell people about the Buddy Bike.
So let's dive straight into your journey with some of my questions. So my first question is, can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey and what inspired you to create these bikes for special needs children?
First of all, I did not create the Buddy Bike. The Buddy Bike was developed in the 1990s by Bob Gardner. He had a small child at that time, and he was a bike enthusiast, and he liked to ride with his child on the front of the bike. So he welded together two old Schwinn's so he could put his son on the front, and he used to ride him to school on that. He developed that into what was called the Love Bike. And then around 2005, that's when I worked for an estate planning attorney, and his son has autism. Jesse was probably about 7 years old at that time. And they were seeking a solution so that he could continue riding with Jesse once he outgrew all those baby seats and tag-alongs and all the things where the child rides in the back. He found a Love Bike, and he ended up buying the patent and buying the inventory. And I was his marketing person at the time. So it just fell in my lap that he came to me and said, I need a logo. And I about had a heart attack because I said, if you're selling a bike, I think you need a little bit more than a logo. It just fell in my lap. I started helping with him with that business. And I eventually started running it. In the end of 2020, we broke that business up, and I founded Bikes for Everybody because I wanted to be able to expand and help families of other abilities as well. But Bikes for Everybody serves as the home of the Buddy Bike, where I continue to try to build them and distribute them to families. I myself do not have a special needs child, but Jesse in our office, everybody loves Jesse, and he's grown up around us. And getting to meet the families throughout these years, it's been about 19 years now that I have been doing this with Buddy Bike. So it's really become my life and my identity. And over the years, I've gotten to meet the families and work with them and accommodate their needs and watch their kids grow up on the Buddy Bike. And so it's really been a long but beautiful and at times difficult journey.
So to our audience out there, could you explain to them what essentially is a Buddy Bike and what are some of its features? And essentially, what distinguishes a Buddy Bike from a regular tandem or a tag-along?
Good question. The Buddy Bike is a tandem bicycle because it rides with two riders. On a typical tandem, you will have a captain on the front seat who does the driving of the bike and the stoker who sits on the back seat. In our case, we're an alternative tandem because we put our stoker in the front seat. And normally our stoker is a smaller rider or a child with autism, Down syndrome, sight impairment, low muscle tone, epilepsy, the kids that either maybe physically could ride a bike, but cognitively would not be safe riding a bike, or maybe they do have the cognition to ride, but maybe they don't have the strength to carry the weight of themselves in the bike. The bike, putting the child on the front of the bike puts them in a safer position where the parents can see what they're doing. We have sold some to families with kids with epilepsy. So it's helpful for the families to see them in front so they can monitor and see if anything's starting to happen. There are kids who like to elope, and parents have told me their kids would ride a tag along and just jump off the tag along in the back of the bike before the parent can realize what's happening. So on the front of the bike, it's not that the kids can't do those things, but at least the parents are right there where they can talk in the ear of the child. They can encourage them to stay on task with the pedaling and hanging on, and they can keep them from jumping off the ride in the middle of the ride. So some of the features are, besides putting the child in the front seat, we have a lower front seat, so both riders can enjoy the view. The pedals do work together. Some people prefer that they don't, but the pedals working together is where you're going to get the therapeutic benefit, because once the kids can reach the pedals, they'll start to get that circulation, that motion, and the sense of coordination that goes along with riding a bike. Kids who ride the front of the bike do not have to have cycling skills to get started. We just need to be able to sit them on a standard bike seat, or we do have an option I'll talk about later, that they need to sit on the seat. We need to get their feet on the pedals. And then there is a potential to learn those skills as they're cycling. So it's a great teaching tool for kids, both with and without disabilities. It's a good tool for building confidence in riding a bike. So what other features? I believe I've covered them. Go ahead, throw me another question.
Yes, as a STEM tutor myself who teaches special needs children primarily, I've noticed that there were some challenges that I've had to face, and in my introductory meetings as well for every course, sometimes it just feels a little bit disorganized for me, essentially, and sometimes I can get overwhelmed as well. So what are some of the unique challenges that you faced, and how do you think that you've adapted to them through your design? So how do you think your designs have also addressed these challenges as well?
The buddy bike is not for every rider. Definitely, there are people who have more physical disabilities who are going to require seats that can be more supportive, that can hold them in. They're going to require heavier duty pedals to maintain their feet on the pedals. So we have not adapted in that way because we have such a unique frame. We can't just add a lot of things. They aren't going to work right with our bike. And the adaptations are a little bit hard. We've worked over 19 years to improve and change the bike, but staying within the style of what the buddy bike is, which is also why I've gone to the bikes for everybody idea, because I want to be able to help families. If the buddy bike is not the best choice for them, I want to have other options for them. So that's how I answer those challenges. But the challenges are not really in the design so much as being able to find the parts and the production that I need, that's been my biggest challenge over the last several years. But the challenge is making sure that that the buddy bike fits each family. And if not, then I want to be able to try and help them find something else that will be safer and appropriate for them. Is that kind of in the right? Am I on track with that?
Yeah, so you mentioned actually the resource aspect of it. So is it that it's just simply too expensive, or is it difficult to find?
Even before COVID and before 2020, we lost our manufacturing plant, not mine, but where we were manufacturing, they shut down. And then with COVID and supply chain issues, and we were a small guy and everybody was scrambling. The bike industry did really well for a while and sold out all their bikes. And then everybody was scrambling for inventory. So it was hard for me to get in line when there were bigger companies struggling to get the supplies and get the shipments coming in. So now things are leveling out a little bit now, as I understand it. So it's getting a little bit easier. But even so, the buddy bike is a custom frame. We have custom handlebars, and we have a custom design on our Stoker handlebars because we have a dual handlebar setup where it's one stem and two handlebars, which is how that rear rider has the large handlebars with the leverage so that they can control the steering, while the front rider has a smaller set so they can feel in control, but they're not actually able to take over the control of the bike.
So I guess that actually leads into my next question as well. So how do you ensure that your bikes are also like safe and accessible in addition to like those two set of steering parts that you mentioned beforehand?
How we make them safe. Okay. First of all, I love bright colors. I try to do a lot of bright colors on the bikes because I want my riders to be visible. I think that's really important. And second, I promote helmet safety. I want everybody to wear helmets. But the buddy bike actually, it is a typical type of bicycle. And I think that's what a lot of families like about it, because a lot of options when it comes to adaptive cycling are the big, heavy, clunky kind of trikes, and they do serve their purpose. But for some kids, it's just a lot more than they need. And they're heavy. The kids are not able to keep up with the families when they're riding a bike like that that's heavy. So the buddy bike actually is a more normalized, more normal kind of bicycle. I get so many comments from the families. Every time we go out, people say, cool bike, cool bike. So we're bringing the therapeutic benefit. We're trying to make the bike safe. We give people lots of advice. I spend a lot of time giving people the tips on how to ride and how to stay safe. And I tell them, if the kids are unable to keep their feet on the pedals, we need to add adaptive pedals. There are some accessories that help to make it a little bit safer ride. But at a certain point, we can only go so far in helping them find the right accessories to make it as safe as possible. But again, if those kids need more support in their seating or are unable to keep their feet on the pedals, then maybe, or if the parents are unable to control and manage the bike and the child and themselves, then other options might be better for them. So as far as safety, I try to work with it is a typical kind of bicycle. There's no supportive or strapped in seating or anything like that. And being such that our design is so unique, it's hard to just slap on some of those different kind of accessories. They don't always work on the buddy bike. So I do try to work with families and tell them there are requirements for a safe ride. Riders must be within 380 pounds combined weight. The rear rider needs to be as tall as or taller than the front rider. And that front seat rider needs to be able to sit upright on a typical bike seat. If they don't meet those requirements, then I don't suggest the buddy bike to them, because there's no way I can really change the buddy bike design and structure to accommodate that. In those cases, other types of bikes like side-by-side options would be much better. But safety is a primary concern for me, especially having kids with disabilities on the front of the bikes. I want the families to be able to enjoy and be happy on a safe ride. The main ways I deal with it is in helping the families make it. We offer some accessories to help add to the safety aspects. Adaptive pedals, which help hold the kids' feet in place. We definitely want the children to be able to keep their feet on the pedals. Sometimes it's a little hard for them, because where they may ride a trike and do okay in the pedaling motion, on the buddy bike, they're going to be at the adult pace in order to keep that momentum going on the buddy bike. So it's often helpful to add a strap pedal or Velcro, anything that we can do to help keep their feet on the pedals so that they don't get their legs hit or get their feet in between the frame and the front of the bike. But I'm here to talk to everybody. I love talking to the customers and going through. It's so helpful when you can actually see the families and have them do a test ride, but where they can't, I'm here just a phone call away to help answer all their questions and go through all these things to make sure that they're picking a good and safe cycling solution for their family.
So since the buddy bike employs a like custom frame, as you were mentioning beforehand, I would imagine that it would take maybe a longer time for the design process to fully be executed. So could you walk us through like the design process and how long this roughly takes you to make like a set of buddy bikes?
Let's see. Our last production was in 2017, so it's been a while, but I work with a company in California called Fairing Industries, and they help coordinate everything. We've always built the bikes overseas, and except for one USA model that I had built a couple years ago. But basically, the frame was already there. But what I do is I create a checklist based on things that I hear from the bike dealers who've helped me over the years, who know the Buddy Bike and their customers, and talking to the families and talking to people in the programs. So I make my checklist of everything that we need to see or that might need to be adjusted on a bike. And I send that off to Fairing, and then they go into our production process. I work with a manufacturing coordinator in California called Fairing Industries, and they coordinate between me and the crazy ideas I come up with and overseas so that we can produce the Buddy Bike. And over the years, we started with an initial design, and over the years, I've taken all those comments from the bike dealers who've helped me assemble bikes and help sell bikes to families, and the families who ride the bikes. And I think we're frozen again, right? Our production process. We've started out in the 1990s with Bob Gardner, who initially designed the bike. So we had some frame drawings then. But over the years, I've attended a lot of expos and trade shows and met families who have children with special needs, families who ride our bikes, and I've taken their feedback as well as the feedback of bike professionals who've helped us out in bike assemblies and selling bikes to families. And I take all those comments and I build my list of demands of what I'd like to see in future versions of the Buddy Bike. And I hand that off to Fairing Industries, who coordinates our manufacturing. They're based in California. And then they take it from there and get the bikes assembled overseas. And then eventually I have packaged bikes in the warehouse in California, so we can ship those to people then around the world. And that process, it varies, but I believe it should take us about 4 months and on next production. So usually about 4 to 6 months to get everything together. And as far as developing, the bike is already developed, but we do tweak that design based on those comments we get from the special needs families and on how they're using them. But we do have to stick within the structure of our Buddy Bike since it is special and has a special configuration.
So do you also consult like therapists and other professionals in addition to parents of special needs children in order to
Yes, that is my favorite, is to work with medical professionals, physical therapists, schools, camps, organizations. I recently sold a Buddy Bike to a school system out in California. And they sent me this beautiful article about how they're using these bikes to help kids that are sight impaired, using the Buddy Bike to help them build confidence and have that physical recreation. I work with organizations in Singapore. Ageless Bicyclists has several Buddy Bikes that they use in their public programs and getting people inclusive programs and getting people out on bikes and cycling. I work with them. I work with a lot of funding sources that help families get the Buddy Bike as therapeutic equipment, because the majority of our customers get some type of funding, whether it's grants or medical funds and Medicaid, to purchase the Buddy Bike as therapeutic equipment. And I've spent a lot of time collecting resources and trying to give those to the families to help get them pointed in the right direction so that they can afford our Buddy Bikes. And that is on our website, buddybike.com, and there's a funding page there. So yes, I thoroughly enjoy working with those kind of groups because they reach a lot of families. And once they get on board and they see the benefits of the bike, they're happy to tell other people, and families as well are very happy to tell other families about its benefits.
So as a coach of special needs children in badminton, I am really excited to see at the end of the course that a lot of these children are applying some of the principles and concepts that I've taught them, and they're having fun overall. So is there a success story or memorable experience that you personally have experienced from families who have used your bikes?
Yes. And I want to check my notes because I don't want to forget. I have 19 years of comments, stories, videos, and I have some of the testimonials in. I have to bring some more over from our old website. But there are several, like the first time we rode a Buddy Bike with a child who hadn't ridden a bike yet, ever. He was maybe 9 or 10 and sight impaired, and he hadn't ridden a bike. So he was riding the front. And a lot of times I don't see the faces of the kids, but I do see the faces of parents when I'm coming around the bend, and the tears in their eyes when they see their kids smiling and doing something for the first time, or getting it, especially when the parents have tried and the kids can't ride a bike, and then they get on the buddy bike and they're off, and it just makes them so happy. And there was a family who told me they would ride the buddy bike just before dinner and just go a little bit around the block, because their son with autism would then become more communicative at dinner time. And there was another family who wrote to me after Christmas one year, and they said on Christmas Day, we rode for the first time as a whole family, an entire family. Because in a lot of families, when you have multiple children, and if you don't have that bike option for the child with special needs, you have this, what do we do? Do they stay home? The other kids go out. Dad goes out with the kids, and mom stays home. Like, splits the family up. It's sad. They don't want to leave their sibling behind. And with the buddy bike, though, all of a sudden the whole family is just out there riding together, and kids are getting included, and they're meeting people in their community, and it's an inclusive activity. They're riding with others. There was a family, I've got this really great picture from this dad and his son who did a torch lighting. I think it was in the UK. They did Special Olympics torch lighting, riding their buddy bike. I had a family send me something from Australia. They rode the Ride Down Under with like hundreds of professional cyclists and everything, and they were riding on their buddy bike. So it gets the kids out doing things that they wouldn't normally be exposed to or be able to participate in.
So if you would like, you can also share your screen in terms of showing these images and videos.
Okay, let me see. I wasn't prepared for that. But I'll just pull up the website then. I think that's a good way to go, because I just recently really updated and added some stuff that I hope will make families happy. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. This is my buddy bike site, and I've got these rotating pictures here, but you'll see I've added a couple really beautiful pictures of a mom and her daughter enjoying their buddy bike on there. This was a special bling pink one I made. And this father and son, those were in the early days when we took a bike ride out in the Everglades. And we've got this other family that I did a bike ride up here in Palm Beach County, and he rode with his son. This is another of my favorite photos. The buddy bike makes families happy. It brings them joy. It gets the kids included. It gives them mobility that has physical therapeutic benefits. It helps them gain awareness of their body and space, the proprioception. Am I on that? So besides being a fun thing that they can enjoy, it has the therapeutic benefits. I've got all these other beautiful pictures. These are just some of my favorites. I've got hundreds of these photographs, but people send them to me from all over the world. I've received photos from Italy and where's Netherlands, because I've got a windmill in the background. And so these are some of the nice photos. And if people visit our website and go to our testimonials page, I've got a few testimonials here, and I have to add a lot more because I've got a long list of stuff from the old site, but these are just a few, again, of the favorites, families who are enjoying their buddy bikes and sending us all these notes of appreciation. I think this is one of my favorites here is from David in Canada, where he tells us how much he loves our bike and how it was a struggle to get his son outside before, but now that they have the buddy bike, they're able to go out and do these activities, and he's able to get him working physically and doing exercise. Because I'm sure you understand, with kids with autism, you couldn't have a stationary bike and say, jump on and just pedal. All right. Or you can't just hand them a bike rope or a jump rope and say, jump the rope like other kids will do, because they need a little bit more prompting and a a little bit more interaction. But on the buddy bike, riding together and with the feet on the pedals, you're able to help the front rider get that cycling motion and get that activity and receive the full benefits of riding a bike. And so another note on the buddy bike, because I do keep saying that when the kids pedal, they're getting that therapeutic activity, but families don't have to wait till their kids can reach the pedals, which would be at a 25-inch inseam, because we do have fold out foot pegs that help the families. And I can show you a picture of that too. We've got fold out foot pegs that help the families the kids to put their feet up out of the way of the motion of the pedals. So you can see these here, they open up when the kids put their feet on them, and then they close like that against the frame when they're not in use. So they're helpful for the kids who can't reach the pedals yet, but they're also helpful for the kids who can reach the pedals, but who might get tired on a longer ride and just need to take that break. So that's another one of my safety features that is good for small riders and kids who just need to be able to put their feet up once in a while.
So if you guys, to our audience, if you guys are interested in purchasing a buddy bike or just learning more about what it is, feel free to check out the website of buddybike.com, and I'll make sure to include this in the description as well. Are there any particular months where you provide discounts or specials on your bikes?
No, I don't normally provide discounts, because every dollar that I get out of the bikes goes towards building more bikes. Let me go ahead and stop my share here. Sorry about that. Okay, I stopped the share. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. So normally we do not have discounts, because every dollar out of the bikes goes towards either trying to build more bikes or trying to buy trade-in bikes, which I've been doing lately, is buying. Some families are ready to pass their bikes along to other families, so I buy those up. Sometimes I'm refurbishing, fixing them up, bringing them up to a better condition and reselling them to families. But what I am excited about right now is that for the first time since 2017, we do have an opportunity to return to production. After I told you we've faced all those challenges, we found our previous frame builder, which is really exciting, because then I don't have to start all over with that process. So we found our frame builder and we found a way to get them assembled and packaged. But now my challenge is raising the funds to import a large number of buddy bikes. So I have set a goal for pre-selling a certain number of bikes by July 15th in order to move forward with that production. So I hope people, if they're interested, now is the time to let me know, even if families aren't ready to purchase, getting quotes, contacting me, letting me know they're interested. This is going to gauge the interest, and it will be helpful in my being able to obtain the funding to move forward. And the other thing is, if families are applying for funding, it can take longer to get the funding than it will take for me to build the bikes. So families should contact me now and call me. That's my favorite thing. I love when the families call me and I can talk to them directly, because I have everything they need in the website, but really with a few quick questions, I can help them decide if it's a really good choice for them or not. And I can help them decide on the particular bike models they're going to get. And another thing I added to the website is a quiz. If people want to take my little interactive quiz, they can answer a few questions, and that will also help them decide if it's a good choice for their family and a safe choice. They can contact buddybike.com, check out the site, take the quiz, but more importantly, just give me a call, Shelley, 786-489-2453. I'm happy to talk to people and help.
Interestingly, someone was actually calling Miss Shelley as a potential customer, so make sure to contact Miss Patterson.
I look forward to it. All right.
So in terms of my last question is, what advice would you give to parents or caregivers who are considering to get a bike for their children who have special needs?
Okay. The first step is deciding which bike you need. And they can call me. And like I said, if the buddy bike is not the right choice, I do have another resource, Bikes for Every body.com. I am trying to build an online resource that will help families find the bikes they need, the funding they need, and I hope to have everything related to adaptive cycling eventually in this site. But if that resource doesn't help them, but then finding the bikes that they like and going to those manufacturers, just like they would come to me, they need to find the bike first. And then if they are going to seek funding, they can talk to their support services counselor, which is called something different in every kind of state, but whoever helps them with their services, they can say, here's the bike that I want. And if they've gotten a quote, which is ideal, then they say, here's how much it costs. Is funding available for this? Private insurance generally is not going to cover adaptive bikes, but sometimes families have to apply and be denied in order to get for other programs to apply. So those are my tips. Talking directly, deciding which bike you want and talking directly to that company is probably the best way to know if that's going to be a good fit for you or not. And yeah, and they can always call me even if the buddy bike's not the right choice. I'm still happy to help.
So that's all for today, folks. Miss Patterson, it was a great pleasure meeting you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And to our audience out there, we will return soon with a new change maker as well. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and we hope to see you in the next podcast. Until then, take care of yourself. And remember, inclusion leads to innovation. Peace out.